Hey, everybody. This is Coach MJ, the coaching connoisseur, and I want to welcome you to our training broadcast for this Thursday evening. Hope your week has been phenomenal. Today, we are going to be talking about the trick to getting unstuck from a job that you hate. Now, sometimes when people hear that word hate, or when they hear words that are strong like that, they're like, well, I don't really hate my job. I just don't like certain things about it. So I just want to level set that when I say job you hate, it was just for the purposes of abbreviating what we're going to be talking about. This is for you. If you are being underpaid, if you're being overworked, underappreciated, unfulfilled, whichever and whatever of those apply to you, this is for you. So even if you wouldn't say, I hate my job, because yes, you're grateful to have it and all that, we're talking about people who realize that I need to do more. I need to do something different. I need to spread my wings and fly so I can create freedom for myself and my family. That's who this is for. And when I say the trick, it's not even that it's something tricky in the usual sense of the word, but it's the things that we don't normally think about, the things that we're not already doing that usually are the things that's going to get us that extra move in the right direction to get what we want in life. They say that success is always just on the other side of your comfort zone. And that is so true. There is nothing that has a great reward that is comfortable, especially when you're starting out. And so I just want to make sure that we understand that it's not a trick in the sense that somehow it's just going to be snap your fingers and it's magic, but it's something that you normally would, the things that you have to do to get unstuck from the job you hate and sail into your freedom are things that you are not already doing, because if you were doing them, you would already have your freedom. And the thing is, so often we will say things like, I'm just doing what I have to do for right now. Got to pay the bills, got to keep the lights on. I'm just doing what I have to do until the kids grow up. Not recognizing that time is of the essence in life, because you never know how much time you have, right? And you want to live your life to the fullest from right now. And it is a myth that you have to wait until the kids are grown, or wait until somebody in the family gets out of school or changes jobs or gets something else in somebody else's life changes, and then you can have the life you want. You can have the life you have that you want right now. And if you find yourself stuck in a job or a career that, hey, maybe when you started out, it was great. Maybe you went to school for something and now you're working in that field, and maybe it's turned out to be not what you thought it was going to be. Or maybe you've been in it a long time, things change, in the direction you want them to change. They tell everybody when they get out of high school, go to college, you get a good job, have a career, and work for 40 years and then get to retire. And usually the reason why they offer retirement to people, and that's a relatively new concept in American society, is the idea of retiring, because they know that people are often going to be doing a job that they don't really care to do in lieu of chasing their own dreams. So they had to create some incentives for doing that. And one of them is this idea that you work till you're 60 something years old in this job that's not really what you want to do. And then you get to retire, and maybe you get to go on some trips. Maybe you get to just sit at home and do nothing. But anyway, what we're going to be talking about today is how we can reverse that trend for you and make it to where you're not stuck in a job thinking that you have to do this, thinking that, well, it is not going to matter. I'll live my dreams out when I get older. You know what? That's not good enough for me. And if that's good enough for you, that's fine. No judgment, no shade. But for those of you who are not willing to wait until you're almost 70 years old and in the last third of your life to live the life of your dreams, keep listening, because we're going to talk about how you can get out of that job and into a space where you are living your dreams beyond anything you could have ever imagined right now. The first thing you need to do when you are thinking about getting unstuck, and let me also say, when I say unstuck from your job, I'm specifically talking about leaving. Because a lot of times people feel like they're stuck or they're trapped in their career and that there's no way out. So we're talking about leaving and becoming an in-demand coach that is able to have the lifestyle of freedom and flexibility of time and income to live your wildest dreams and travel the world. Let me just level set. When I say unstuck, I'm not talking about getting into a better job. I'm talking about becoming a self-employed entrepreneur as a coach. The first thing you need to do to get out of there, to set yourself free from that job, is to question your motives. Everybody I talk to about being an entrepreneur and working for myself says, shoot, I need to do that. And this is usually in the context of them having some kind of a frustration with their job. A lot of times it's that it doesn't pay that much. A lot of times it's the hours, the lack of appreciation from a boss. But going away from something or trying to get away from pain is a motivator. But if you don't know what you're moving towards, you can actually make a bigger mess than where you already were. You need to figure out, what is it that makes me think I want to work for myself, especially as a coach, but really this applies to any type of entrepreneurship, any field. What is it that makes me want to do that? What is it that I'm mad at your boss because they want to make some more money? And I'm not saying that those are bad reasons, but they are not going to be enough to get you where you need to go in the entrepreneurship world. If you need to make extra money, sometimes that means you get a side gig. Sometimes that means you get a second job. Sometimes that means you shift to another job. But you have to make sure that it is truly entrepreneurship that you want. And you're not just saying that because you think that's the opposite of having the job that you have. Everybody's not cut out to work for themselves. Everybody does not have the motivation. Everybody does not have the skill set. Everybody does not have the will, the drive. There's a lot of things you have to have as a world traveling coach with a lucrative business. And you need to make sure that your motives are the right ones. The motives that are most helpful and the ones you want to check your heart and your mind for are that you have a desire to be an entrepreneur, to work for yourself. And guess what? Everything about working for yourself is not gravy. Most of it is the way I've got my stuff set up. And that's the way I teach other people to get their businesses set up. But there are some challenges and some struggles that when you're used to working for somebody else, it is going to throw you for a loop and really be the reason why you could end up back asking for your job back. And I don't want that for you. So I want to make sure that you question your motives and make sure it's not just that you're mad about your current job situation, but that it's truly working for yourself that you desire. Because the thing is, every job is not for everybody, but that doesn't mean you need to stop having a job. If you are truly an entrepreneur at heart, just make sure that your motives for wanting to strike out on your own are pure and they're not just based on, yes, it's going to be frustrations with your job. That's what usually first gets people's attention, that they need to do something more. But you also want to make sure that you have the right motives for, instead of shifting to a different job, actually going out on your own. The second thing you need to do to make sure, or to get yourself unstuck from that job, is to qualify yourself as an entrepreneur. Now, it's a little bit different from what we just talked about, because first we're talking about what are your motivations for wanting to get unstuck from your job and get out of there. Now we're talking about, are you a fit to work for yourself? Are you willing to invest in yourself? And I'm talking money, I'm talking time, talking energy and other resources. When you have come from a space where you work for somebody else, they buy all the pencils, right? Literally. And that's a figurative statement, but it's also literal. When you go to your office, they don't expect you to provide office supplies. Now, there are some things that teachers, unfortunately, pay for out of their own pocket. Generally speaking, when you work for somebody else, you don't buy the pencils. They buy the pencils. You just show up, right? But when you work for yourself, you buy the pencils. You are responsible for everything with a business. It doesn't happen unless you make it happen. It's kind of correlated with or similar to renting versus owning a house. When you rent from somebody, generally they are responsible for major repairs and some minor repairs. They're responsible because it's their property. When you buy a house, you're responsible for all of those repairs. You have to pay for it when the washing machine goes out. You have to pay for the new roof. Same thing is true of having a job versus becoming an entrepreneur. And you have to make sure that you are okay, and not only okay, that you are willing and driven to put money into your business. You have to look at it and understand that as an entrepreneur, you're not getting something for nothing. Anytime somebody says, I can put you in business and it's only going to cost you $97, ma'am, you are not in business. you are an independent distributor. Now, are there some situations of that nature where people can make a lot of money? Absolutely. But as long as you're bearing somebody else's brand name, you are, to a certain extent, working for them or up under their umbrella. When you go out on your own, you are responsible for everything that is required to get your business off the ground. Everything from, if there's any things to do with taxes and legal, everything from that to paying for education, for coaching, for professional development, all of that. And you have to be willing to spend tens of thousands of dollars on that to make sure that you are as on the cutting edge as you need to be competitive in this marketplace, right? So you're qualifying yourself as an entrepreneur by saying, hey, do I have a way of creating a network of connections so that when I leave this job that I'm currently trying to get unstuck from, I'm not out there in la la land on my own? Are you able to be self-motivated and self-driven when you are creating the work instead of your employer creating the work? That's a different type of challenge, and you want to make sure that you're okay with that. I'm not in this video trying to discourage you from doing it. I'm just giving you almost a checklist to say, yes, I'm good with that. Yes, I'm good with that. Yes, I'm good with creating the work. That means if you wake up in the morning and you want to sleep in till 11 and you only have a few hours to work before your particular industry or area of expertise shuts down for the day, maybe the market shuts down early, then you just cut into your money. Are you okay with not having somebody telling you when to work? Because as long as you've been in the job world, they've told you got to come Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, or whatever that was. And so as you qualify yourself for entrepreneurship, I keep forgetting to put my banners up here. You have those skills, or at least the desire to learn those skills that make you successful as an entrepreneur. It does not come naturally, right? Living the life of an entrepreneur for everybody. Let's say there are some people who they step into entrepreneurship and they hit the ground running and it's natural for them, and it's unnatural for them to work for somebody else, right? But for most people, especially if you've been programmed by working for somebody else, it can take some undoing to get out of that mindset and get over to an entrepreneurial mindset. So you can learn these things. And if you have a good coach working with you, they can help you to get over those hurdles of not even the work that you're doing as an entrepreneur, but just being an entrepreneur can have challenges that you need help navigating. I know that even though I've been out of the corporate world for years, I still have a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type of mentality sometimes that I have to shake off. I have this idea that if I'm not doing certain things for a certain amount of time, that I'm not, quote, working enough, or if I take off early on a Friday, that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to, even though I'm getting the results that I want to in my business. I'm still programmed. I'm deprogramming myself from that Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 mentality. So like the other day, I chose to work on a Sunday, and I put in some hours on Sunday so that Monday I could get on to some other things. But that wasn't my normal place, because for 20 plus years, I was programmed Monday through Friday. And so there's a lot of deprogramming that has to happen. So as you qualify yourself for entrepreneurship, you just have to make sure that you are ready for the time freedom that you have, the ability to create your own income without a cap on it, but you have to create that work, and you have to be willing to do that. Reach out for help when you need it, things of that nature. The third thing you need to do to get yourself unstuck from the job you hate is to quantify your goals and dreams. It is very easy to give vague, I don't even call them goals. If they're vague, they're not goals, they're ideas. But very vague, we'll call them goals, and wonder why you never achieve them. That's why New Year's resolutions usually fail. Most people don't put any teeth in their New Year's resolutions, and they don't work. However, when you are creating a business and you are scaling it and you are wanting to reach higher heights to be able to build wealth, you have to have some concrete, quantified goals and dreams. And when I say quantify, I'm talking about income has to be in dollars. So talking about I want to get wealthy, that's not specific enough. I want to get rich, that's not specific enough. You need to put a dollar figure on that. And then you have to also talk about the time involved. You have to say within the next 6 weeks and put a on it. Keep saying within the next 6 weeks, but you keep looking at that goal every day. 6 weeks keeps moving out further and further. You got to put a date on that thing. A lot of times we don't want to put a date on it because we know that's going to make it real. It's going to give you a deadline. It's going to cause you to act. But that's exactly what you want as a business owner. When you are trying to get out of your job, you have to get really specific on what you want, and quantifying your goals and dreams is going to be super important. Also, the effort that's going to be involved, how much, how many, all of that needs to be included when you're quantifying your goals and dreams. Because again, in the job world, your employer is responsible for most of that. They tell you, if you have a manager or a leader that you report to, they tell you when things are due. They tell you what's important. The business, the industry that your company you work for is in determines when things are due, and kind of determines that cycle. Even though you have maybe some decision-making authority in your role, ultimately the business is created by somebody else. Somebody else owns it, and they decide the things that they may give you some leeway within, but they are driving those schedules and driving those metrics and driving those timelines. When you're working for yourself, once you get unstuck, you're going to be doing that yourself for your business. And so you need to start quantifying your goals and dreams and start doing it now. None of this is things you need to do after you leap out there. It's things you need ready to leap out there, right? Until you become what you want to be, you're not going to be motivated or driven to do the things that's going to help you to have the things you want. You have to be an entrepreneur first. While you're still working for somebody else, you need to be or become an entrepreneur. You need to become self-employed. You need to become that leader. You need to become a person that invests in yourself. You're waiting for you're waiting to have something, and then you're going to do the things that's going to help you become. But it doesn't work in that order. You have to become it, walk in it, live it. And then that's where you're going to see yourself doing the things that are going to help you to have the things that you want. It's being first, then doing, and then having, not the other way around. So you need to quantify your goals and dreams and once they become real, once you say 6 months from now, I want to retire from my job. 4 months from now, I want to retire from my job, or on such and such a date. February the 1st, I want to retire from my job, or by March the 3rd, I want to have earned $100,000 in my coaching business. Saying those kinds of things lights a fire under you. Saying that I want to serve 100 people out of whatever situation is you're going to coach them out of, saying that I want to do that by the end of 2022. That's something that you can put some action behind, but you won't put action behind anything until you quantify those goals and dreams and stop leaving them as vague. Even though a lot of this has to do with the business that you'll be operating, what I'm telling you is you need to start doing these things beforehand. You need to start doing these things before you have leaped out there, even before you considered yourself in the coaching business. You need to do these things now. So we've talked about questioning your motives for wanting to get out of your job. We've talked about qualifying yourself as an entrepreneur to make sure you are ready to bring those things on. Doesn't mean you already have done all the things of an entrepreneur, but you are preparing yourself because you know what it's really about. And we've talked about quantifying your goals and your dreams so that they are real and they become true motivators. The last thing you need to do is quit procrastinating and get some help. When I decided I wanted to become a coach, or let's not say when I decided, because I decided years before, but when I decided that now was the time, all of a sudden I had an opportunity to connect with my business coach. I had never seen his stuff before, but once I was frustrated and wanting to get out of the space I was in, wanting to get unstuck, all of a sudden that decision that now was the time, because everything starts with a decision. Once I made that decision that now is the time, is all of a sudden I see a Facebook ad. All of a sudden I see myself clicking on an ad, the type of which up until then I would never have clicked on, because God brings to us the resources that we need at the time we're ready for them. If you're not ready, you're not asking for the resources that you're going to need. And I knew I needed help. And I knew I needed to quit procrastinating. I clicked on the ad. And in his case, I watched the webinar. And then at the end, I booked a call. And then when I booked the call, I enrolled into my dream. I enrolled into that high-ticket coaching program because I knew he had the answer that I wanted. And I did not delay. I did not procrastinate. I did everything in the now. And I know I'm not the only type of woman that moves like that. The only Black woman out here that moves like that. You also can make a decision and move forward, right? You can do that because you're here watching this training for one thing. And you've already said, for those of you who are in my group, you've said you're ready for self-employment. Ready means now. If you still are delaying, if you still got another 5 or 10 years to give to your employer, that's not ready. That's just interested, right? But when you are truly ready to get unstuck from that job that you hate, to stop having them control your time and your money, you'll do something about it. I think about PTO and how those balances are accrued, at least at my former employer. I think I got like 8 hours every pay period. Every 2 weeks, another 8 hours went in the bank. And I wasn't that one to let it stack up really high unless I had somewhere to go. And so I remember recently thinking about how I think it was 3 weeks a year out of 52 weeks a year, I could be gone 3. And I'm just thinking now, the way I move and the way I live, the freedom, I was just like, how was I just getting by with 3 weeks? I think I took 3 weeks worth of vacation the first quarter of this year, right? Just out here moving freely in the world the way I want to. And I know that you also want to be able to move that way and not have to send an email to your boss to say, can I take off for my kid's graduation or for my kid's concert? Or I want to take off 10 days to go overseas, and I got to let them know 6 months in advance. Like, as soon as you buy your ticket, you should be able to go. You shouldn't have to depend on somebody else to determine for you what memories you're able to make with your family or what experiences you're able to enjoy. And then on top of that, it's not just the PTO, because some of you may be working jobs where if you take off at all, you're not going to get paid, and that's okay. You've adjusted to that. I wouldn't say that's okay, but maybe it's also the money. You can't afford the types of trips you really want to take, right? Every Black woman wants to go to Dubai. Every Black woman I talk to anyway, always wants to go to Dubai. Dubai is several $1,000s on the short end, on the cheap end. Most people can't. And by the time you save that up, now it's been a year, it's been 2 years. You shouldn't have to wait a year or two to go on the vacation of your dream. Maybe a month or two, but not a year or two. If you want the kind of freedom that frees you up to take care of your family in style and live the life of your dreams, then guess what? Quit procrastinating and get some help. What am I talking about getting help with? How to do it. When you got your job, you didn't do it on your own. You either went to school and got education. If a degree was required, you had to get help from somebody probably to prepare your resume. If not the last time you did it, at some point, you're not born knowing how to do a resume. You might have a mentor at work. You might have had a guidance counselor in high school or an advisor in college. Every step along the way, every move you've made, you've had somebody helping you. Well, starting a loop from scratch, zero, is going to be a new type of challenge. You're used to just showing up, sitting down at your desk and doing work for somebody else's dream. Now that it's time to pursue your dream, don't leave it up to chance and don't go it alone. And I want to invite you to join the Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge. We have one coming up soon that you can participate in. What are we going to be doing in the challenge? We're going to be helping you walk through hands-on, step-by-step, everything you're going to need to know over the course of 4 days. Not only know, but everything that you're going to need to do to set up a coaching business that's going to create the freedom that we have been talking about, that I'm always talking about. Freedom to not only travel, but freedom to be able to live, invest in, give to who you want to give to, save up as much as you want to save. That kind of freedom comes at a cost. You got to do the work, but first you got to know what that work is. So go to buildwealthwhileyoutravel.com, grab your VIP seat, and get ready to have your mind blown, because everything that you have thought was involved in starting a business, most of that's probably not necessary. And there's probably a bunch of stuff you need to be doing that you weren't going to be doing, except you're going to be in the challenge and you're going to learn how. We're going to talk about how to decide what your coaching offer is even going to be, who needs it, where they are, how to get your message in front of them and pull them into your universe, and then how to enroll them in their dream and work with them to help them to get whatever they want. And it doesn't matter what space you're in. It can be in the health space. You might help people lose weight. You might help people get in shape. You might help people to eradicate some of the symptoms of some kind of disease, whatever that is. Or you might be in the relationship space. Maybe you help with marriages. Maybe you help with single parents. Maybe you help people make new friends. Maybe you help people with dating and all of those things. Guess what? All of those things are real problems that people are struggling with. It might seem frivolous, but a person who doesn't want to die alone, dating and marriage is really important. Help them to experience that by working with you. You can be a coach and help them to become what they want to become. Or maybe you're in or want to be in the financial space. Maybe you have some great tools and systems for helping people to control their finances, or maybe it's helping to invest. And it doesn't have to be something you went to school with or school to do, or something that you do in your day-to-day job. As long as you know how to do it and other people don't know how to do it, that makes you an expert. And you can become an expert coach by using what we're going to be going over in the Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge. You're going to go from having a job and being stuck in the 9-to-5 rat race to being an epic coach, or a colossal coach, as I like to call them, where you're in demand and you're changing people's lives. Most people who become coaches have a burning desire to help other people. And coaching is, I'm not going to say it's the best way, although I am biased to think it's the best way, but it is one of the best ways to help people to actually get a result or an outcome that they want. It's not just about giving them more information. Everything that you can teach or I can teach is somewhere on the internet or somewhere in a book somewhere. But if all it took was reading a book to learn stuff, none of us would have needed teachers. None of us would have had to go to school. They could have just handed us a calculus book and said, go learn calculus, or showed us a website. I'm sure there's a web to show them that. But if you've ever taken calculus, you know good and well you need a teacher or 2 teachers or 3 teachers. You need a tutor. You need a study group. You need a whole lot of practice, a whole lot of things that you can't get just from reading a book. So books and websites are not turning people into millionaires. And if somebody tells you they can show you everything, everything you need to know on a website or in a book to start a business, they're going to be selling you short. You need to get in on this 4-day challenge. We're going to be together with other people who are trying to start a business just like you are trying to start, and you guys can go on this journey together. But it starts with you going to buildwealthwhileyoutravel.com. There's the website on the screen, grabbing your VIP ticket and getting in on this experience that's going to help you to learn exactly what you need to start your coaching business. It's been my pleasure to share with you today. Get on over there and get your ticket so we can work together to get you on this side of success. And until then, until I get your enrollment, I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow with another training. Hope you have a phenomenal night and a great tomorrow. We'll talk soon. Get your VIP ticket and we will go through this challenge together. Take care.